President Putin has warned the West not to cross what he called a red line with Russia, stating that it would trigger an asymmetrical, rapid and harsh response.
When a nuclear-armed country fights to the end, it will have consequences far beyond the borders.
Великой Победы! Ура!
И вы окажетесь втянутыми в этот конфликт помимо своей воли.
The United States and the European Union are doing everything to exert maximum sanction pressure on Russia. The collective West needs the entire world on its side to ensure complete isolation of Russia and the removal of Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. You see friends, most countries of the world haven't imposed sanctions against Russia. For that to happen, NATO countries need to be joined by two major players in the global economy, China and India. And today, we'll focus on India. Since the end of March, NATO has been making great efforts to win India over to its side. British Foreign Secretary Elizabeth Truss went to New Delhi. The mission was a complete failure. The Indians refused to accept Britain's point of view on the Ukrainian events, so the Brits took a break, and then US Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense flew to New Delhi. At a meeting with Indian colleagues on April the 12th, Antony Blinken and Lloyd Austin agreed to strengthen cooperation between the two countries in the field of defense and space. But the Americans gave too little to India, and they were definitely too late. Because the visit of the Americans only came after the trip to India by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The Russian minister discussed with his Indian counterpart, Subramanian Jaishankar, the prospect of creating an alternative SWIFT payment system, trading in rubles and rupees, as well as selling Russian oil at a 20% discount. So the State Department and the Pentagon had an extremely difficult task. The American trip was preceded by US President Joe Biden's leaked demand to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi not to buy oil from Russia.
The President both conveyed that we are here to help them diversify their means of importing oil. Again, the imports from the United States are already significant, or much bigger than the imports that they get from Russia. And we, of course, the President conveyed very clearly that it is not in their interest to increase that.
Despite Blinken's call to condemn the so-called harsh actions in Ukraine by Russia, the Indian Foreign Minister limited himself to saying that India wanted an urgent end to the violence and also was against the conflict and called for immediate dialogue and diplomacy. After the utter failure of the Americans, the Prime Minister of Great Britain took over. Boris Johnson brought to New Delhi the trade agreement between India and the United Kingdom. Its signing is expected in the fall of this year. Britain announced a new and expanded defence and security partnership and proposed joint development of fighter jets to appease his colleague Narendra Modi. He stressed that India is the largest democracy in the world. However, Narendra Modi wasn't swayed. The Indian side again stressed the need for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine and diplomacy to resolve issues. Johnson was even offended when he was offered to travel on the Mi-17, a Russian aircraft, and he demanded that the Russian helicopter be replaced with an American one. However, the continental Europeans decided to act a little smarter. They didn't go to India, but hosted Modi in Berlin and Paris, and of course, Narendra Modi went. Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron didn't stint on courtesy towards India. Olaf Scholz organised the Guard of Honour and protected Narendra Modi from pro-Ukrainian journalists. Narendra Modi didn't speak to those journalists out there. Good thing Scholz did that, because we know Narendra Modi can't speak without a teleprompter. Anyhow, Emmanuel Macron warmly hugged his Indian colleague in the courtyard of the Elysee Palace. Germany has offered India to invest 10 billion euros in joint projects of renewable energy sources and climate protection. In addition, Scholz, as the leader of the country co-chairing the G7, gave the nod to India's invitation to the next G7 summit in Bavaria at the end of June. However, even moderate France and Germany failed to win concessions from India because again, apparently, there was a joint statement by Modi and Macron which condemns aggressive actions in Ukraine. However, there's no signature of the Indian leader on any such statements. India at a maximum is ready to condemn the killings of civilians without specifying the culprit and calls for immediate cessation of hostilities in Ukraine. This behavior of India is explained by the fact that, like China, it sees a unique chance for itself in the conflict between Russia and the West. India will receive maximum benefits from both conflicting parties, from the EU and the United States, which is weapons and investments in renewable energy, and from Russia, oil at a huge discount. India, although considered a democracy by the West, acts primarily in the name of national and economic interests and not the mythical ideals of the West. Let me know your thoughts on this video. I'm particularly interested in knowing why Imran Khan has failed in this conflict between superpowers and Narendra Modi is reaping the benefits. After all, Pakistan's ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan lauded Narendra Modi's government's neutral foreign policy over the Russian-Ukrainian war, saying that it was for the betterment of people. You see, my dear friends, on a domestic level, Narendra Modi is an absolute criminal, but on an international level, he definitely has some very good advisors guiding India's foreign policy. Over and out.
Без объявления войны германские войска напали на нашу страну, атаковали наши границы во многих местах и подвергли бомбежке со своих самолетов наши города. Это неслыханное нападение на нашу страну является беспримерным в истории цивилизованных народов вероломством. Эта война навязана нам не германским народом, не германскими рабочими, крестьянами, интеллигенцией, а кликой кровожадных фашистских правителей Германии. Красная армия и весь наш народ вновь поведут победоносную отечественную войну за Родину, за честь, за свободу.